Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Heart Breathings. Summer has definitely hit here in Texas. The weather is getting hot. My kids are out from school, and lots of travel and engagements are coming up, lots of activities, which means that my normal schedule, if there is such a thing, is shifting a little bit. So, if you're in the same situation, let's have a little casual chat today about making summer writing plans and how to really create a temporary plan when your normal life is being a little bit disrupted. I cannot wait to share some of my goals with you. So let's get started. So, we're going to have just a casual chat here today because, as you can maybe hear, my voice is not 100%. I've been having some allergy issues that has affected my sinuses. Plus, I'm in a different room. How good does this look, though? This is my writing office. My normal cameras were just not cooperating with me. So, I was like, let's just go old school and use a webcam. And so, we're going to be super casual today, hanging out. But the main thing I have created, I wanted to talk to you about is a summer plan for you. So I did this last year. So if you found it helpful, I've got a new workbook ready for you just to kind of plan out summer 2024. A little bit of shout out to subscribers from Australia, New Zealand, and in the Southern Hemisphere. I know that you're not gearing up for summer, but rather for winter, but maybe some of these tips will still be helpful for you and you can still use this. It still has a calendar for June, July, and August, which is not summer for you, but maybe still helpful. I know for me, summer is really about spending time with the family and focusing on my kids, but I still have my own personal goals as well. So it's about finding that balance between work and having fun with the kids and making the most out of it and being intentional because in the years past, like last year went really well, but years before that, I would often find that, oh my gosh, the summer feels so expansive and there's a lot to do and all of this. But because I wasn't being intentional about my writing, it just went completely off the wayside. I just ended up getting all of my time eaten up by time with the family, which of course is fun, but without setting out that intention of what I wanted to get done over the summer, it just kind of passed by before I realized it, like passed in a blink of an eye. So for some of us, we've got less writing time over the summer because our kids are home or there's more activities or there's more travel or vacation or other things like that. But for some of you, you might be a student or a teacher and you have loads more time in the summer because you're off from your normal job. And so you want to make the most of that writing time that you have available. So this plan will accommodate both. Now, many of you know that I tend to plan 90 days at a time. So that goes quarterly, which is January to March, April through June, and then Q3 of the year is July through September. But that doesn't fully match up exactly with summertime when my kids are out of school. So they've already been out of school since the very end of May. We've already made a trip out to Raleigh to visit my husband's family. And then we're going on a summer vacation a little bit later in the summer. I also have a trip to Phoenix for my Accelerate Mastermind with my business mentor, Amber McHugh, and my business besties, which I'm so excited for. Phoenix in the summer, maybe not my favorite choice. However, it's going to be super fun. We do have a house with a pool, so I'm really excited for that. And then I also have some other things that I want to get done, plus launching HB90 coming up in a couple of weeks, as well as the second round of Publish and Thrive this summer. So it's going to be super busy. So, how do I fit in and get intentional about spending time with the kids, making sure we've got summer swim lessons and baseball practices and all the things that we want to do, like going to the park and going to the museums and other things like that? Have to make a plan. This is really the main thing that I like to do is just sit down and get intentional about how much time do I actually have so I'm not putting too much on my plate. And then how am I going to create time and space in my schedule for that family time as well? Because last summer we did a lot of like family art time. Andrew and I want to go through the Wreck This Journal. Let me know in the comments if you've ever done Wreck This Journal. My sister did this. My sister's an art teacher in Georgia, and she did this with her daughter years ago, and they just had so much fun, and it was great bonding time. So I want to do that with Andrew. I've already bought our journals, and we're just going to have fun and just destroy them and do some art and have, a good time with that. And I want to have some mommy Evie time stuff to do as well. So making my plan for it. Now, how does this work with my HB90 plan? It just kind of goes hand in hand with it, right? When I made my Q2 plan, I had already taken into consideration some of what was going to be happening in June. But now that we're actually in June, what I'm actually going to do is sit down and plan Q3 a little bit early for myself. So I'm going to do this summer plan first and get a really good eagle eye view of what my summer looks like and whether the writing goals that I have in my head are actually achievable this summer. Because as always, I tend to set my sights really high. And sometimes, what is that saying about shoot for the moon? And if you fail, at least you land among the stars. That's kind of the story of my life. I always shoot for the moon and sometimes fall short, but at least I am always making forward motion. So I want to set a reasonable plan for myself that builds positive momentum for this summer. And then when I sit down to create my Q3 plan, I'll use what I did in this workbook to build on that plan for heart breathings and my other goals. So whether you have more time this summer or less time this summer, and you're trying to be intentional about what you're doing, or if it's not summertime for you at all, but you want to use a similar process to this for other types of planning like holiday seasons or when you're moving or if you're in between jobs, just any kind of temporary period of time that's outside what you would think of as your normal schedule, this can be super helpful. So you can find this free workbook in my HB resource library, which is free for all of my newsletter subscribers. If you follow the link down below in the description, you can sign up for my newsletter and I will send you a link to this entire free resource library that has dozens of free workbooks like how to plot your novel, how to work on a series, how to write scenes, how to manage your energy, how to plan for Preptober. There's just tons of stuff in there and you get it all free, including this new 2024 workbook that comes in both a Monday start and a Sunday start. And all you have to do is sign up. If you're already on my newsletter, you got a link to this today in your email. So go check that out. And let's get started. I'm just going to talk a little bit first about what my summer goals are in my head. And then I'm going to walk you through the workbook and we're going to see if that is reasonable at all or not. Okay, so when I talk about summer goals, I'm specifically talking here about summer writing goals. And I have some big ones because for the first time in a long time, I'm going to be releasing a brand new book this summer. I feel confident that I can say that, even though I have not announced a pre-order for it yet. I am hoping that pre-order is going up here in the month of June. So I will keep you guys updated because I know many of you have been such great cheerleaders and I sincerely appreciate it. So my current book that I've been working on for a couple of years is called The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. It's a young adult supernatural mystery, and I believe that it will be out in July. I just haven't announced the release date yet for it. So my first priority, of course, is to finish my final edits. I'm halfway through the final round of edits. So I have about 60,000 words. This book is very long. It's over 100,000 words. I have 50 or 60,000 words left to do in final edit. So I'll start back to work on that on Monday when I get home from Inkers Con this weekend. And I'm hoping to finish all of that by next Friday. But I have another big goal besides publishing Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. So that second goal is to start my Ream subscription. I've been talking about that some here on this channel, but if you're not familiar, reamstories.com is a somewhat new website. It's only been out for a little over a year that is kind of like Wattpad, where you have a social reader where you post chapters and people can comment on them and follow you and that sort of thing, and Patreon, where people sign up for a monthly subscription to get access to your stories. Now, this is something I am really, really excited about because it feels fresh and new and exciting way to get my work out there in serialized form. I will have a brand new video coming up soon about my decision making between the tiers that I'm doing on Ream and what all I'm doing for that. But long story short, I am planning to start that Ream subscription. The sign up page, like if you want to go ahead and follow it, if you're interested in being a part of that community, is already up. And I'm calling my Ream the Broken Chapter Society. And again, I'll go through all of those decisions and what my plan is, like my vision for that. In a future video coming up. But I am excited to actually launch the tiers. And there will be, I believe, 4 tiers at launch. And one of them will be for Hardee's as well. If those of you that are here that want to do some extra plan with me and things like that, just to support my creative process and my writing, then there'll be an opportunity for you to come over there. But nothing will be changing here on this YouTube channel. That'll just be like a bonus thing for anybody who wants to join, but no pressure, of course. So I'm excited to get that started because it not only will be a return to my Shadow Demon saga, which I love. I have been writing the Shadow Demon saga for 14 years. My very first book I published was called Beautiful Demons, and it was the majority of the books back here are part of that world. So I'm going to be revisiting the idea of a spinoff for my Ream subscription, and it's called A Mirror of Shadows. And that is going to be a side story with brand new characters, but set in the same world. It's also going to be a portal fantasy, which is some of my favorite stuff that I end up writing is portal fantasy. Most of my books are portal fantasies or include a portal in some kind. So it's contemporary portal fantasy. And it's like a playground for my brain. And to say I'm excited for this is an understatement. So I want to be writing A Mirror of Shadows and get my Ream subscription launched. And launching that subscription is more than just the writing. It's also cover art, branding, deciding on the tiers, getting some physical rewards because there will be things mailed out to everyone who joins. So there's lots of little pieces to go along with that. I need to make sure that I have time for all of that, including the writing. Then the third goal for the summer is to get back to book 12 of my Shadow Demon saga. So I haven't announced a title for this book yet, but I do have a title. I have a cover. I've had all of that for a while. This book, I think, is probably going to be upwards of 150,000 words. And I have about 40 to 50,000 words written in the rough draft. That's what I was writing for about the year after book 11 came out. And then I switched to Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. So I haven't been working on just one project over the last 3 years. I've been working on multiple, but it's time to start finishing them and getting them published. So that's really what the rest of this year is all about, is rebuilding momentum in my writing career and publishing again. So I'm ready. I'm excited for it. And I know I can do it. So those are my 3 big writing goals for the summer. Can I get all of that done and accomplished in 2.5 months? Let's take a look and see. So if you want to, feel free to put what your writing goals are down below, or you can always join us in the Heart Breathings writing community where we run daily sprints. So I will link that for you below as well. Or you can also come join my Discord server where we do talk about our writing goals, and we have some Hearties channels down towards the bottom of that Discord server. If you want to come join, all of that is linked for you down below. Okay, so now we're going to go top down, and I'm going to show you the workbook and how I would fill that out. Yay, here is your summer 2024 workbook. Basically, this is similar to what you've seen me do so many times before. If you've been around or if you're new here, we're going to walk you through this process of really looking realistically, eagle-eye view, at how much time you have available this summer and whether you're going to be able to fit it all in. And let me just state before we get into the process that always, whenever I'm doing this type of planning, or whether it's my HB90 plan or Preptober or anything like that, this isn't necessarily a tool that you have to use to perfection, like not even in the follow through. It can just be a tool for your intentions, for setting realistic intentions. So for some of you, you might go through this process just to get a realistic goal for the summer and then not actually follow any kind of calendar because you want to be more flexible and free, and that's great. Some of you, though, might really enjoy the structure of looking at your calendar and saying, okay, it's Monday the 13th. It's time to write 100 words today. And you can really use this however you want. But the key is to lean into your natural way of being, your natural preferences, and how you work best. So if you like to be more flexible, then just use this as a sort of guide to set a realistic intention and make sure that there is at least feasibly enough time to get everything done. Or you can use it if you want as something more structured. It's totally up to you. But what we have here is first a view of June, July, and August. And I have this in 2 versions in the resource library, Sunday and Monday start calendars. So you have just the basic June, July, and August calendars, which for me is my summer. Of course, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, this is winter. So you might not be on a different schedule right now, or things might be a little bit different for you. So what I did include for anybody else that wants to use this at a different time is towards the back here. I have just an undated month. So you could print this out, like let's say you were moving, or you wanted to figure this out for the Christmas holidays or for any other time of the year, you could work that in here. Then I also have a summer wish list. This is basically my HB90 project pages just renamed. And then we have an ideal weekly schedule and a little writing plan, as well as another version of a writing plan and a quote page. So that is what is in the workbook, along with a 2024 yearly calendar. And the way that I go through this is I'm starting this process just with purely the intention of getting an eagle eye view of what are my obligations and plans that are already in place for the summer, and then trying to figure out whether I have time for my writing this summer, how much time I realistically have for my writing. And then, like I said, it's up to you whether you want to actually follow this or stay more like loosey-goosey, flexible, free throughout the summer. So the first process that you do is you can, of course, if you know me, we're going to do color coding. You can go through and you can mark out the things that you already have as obligation on your schedule. So for example, when you're watching this, it's probably potentially the weekend, if you're watching it when it first came out, this weekend of June 7th, and I'm going to be at InkersCon. So that's already like non-writing time for me. I will not be writing during that process. Then we also have a family vacation coming up at the end of the summer or the end of June. I will be writing during this, but it'll be a little bit of a reduced writing schedule because I won't have as much time. And so what I do is just go through the entire calendar and I'll mark any of those other vacations or places when I'm not going to be writing. And you can actually put in where you're going or what's happening, or you can just mark out those days and say, okay, these are non-writing days and these are, yes, writing days. However you want to use this, you can. Then if you have other obligations that are either part of your normal routine or things that maybe are just summer obligations. So for example, let's say I had a baseball practice for Andrew every Monday night at 6 p.m. I might want to put that on the calendar here so I can remind myself that if 6 p.m. is his baseball time, then I'm not going to be able to write that evening. So it might affect my writing schedule for the summer. So you're going to put all of that stuff on your calendar and you're going to go through and you're going to mark off any days when you're not going to be able to write. And again, you can color code it, washi tape it, sticker it up. You can make it pretty. You can use rulers, or you can just chicken scratch the whole thing. It doesn't really matter. The point is to get to an idea of how many writing days you can commit to this summer. So let's say we go through and we mark all of these days off. And at the end of it, we come up with, let's say I have 35 writing days for the summer. That would go over here onto this writing plan page. And I would say I have 35 days available to work on my writing goals this summer. And this workbook, again, is specific just to writing goals. But if you want to have a system that includes all of your different goals, like your health goals or your learning goals or marketing goals or publishing or any other things like that, then definitely grab my HB90 planner. It's actually just the Q3 planners just went up on Etsy yesterday. So they are on sale 25% off until the 16th, or you can come join the HB90 Bootcamp and get this whole program to sort of goalify your whole life. But for now, I'm just focused on the writing. The second piece, besides figuring out how many writing days, is this little summer wish list. So this for me is where I basically would just go through and mark down all the things, like sort of a bucket list of the things I want to do this summer. Like, do I want to take the kids to the zoo? Did we want to go to the Perot Museum or the park? Do we want to go to the library? Do we have baseball practices? And I would just mark all of this stuff down. That's things for me that I want to do with the kids. For you, you might not have kids, or you might be having a different kind of summer wish list. So these could be events you want to do with your friends. It could be vacations you want to go on. It could also be wish list of the things you want to write or things you want to purchase this summer. You can literally just use these however you want. I am going to use them to mark down the things I hope to do with the kids. And then I'm going to go back through my calendar and I'm going to say, okay, out of all the days that I had to write, do I need to take some of those away to make time for a zoo trip or something like that? Is that going to affect my writing? In which case, if it does, then I would want to go back in and alter this number and say, oh, I actually only have 29 days available because I needed to make time for the things that I'm doing with the kids. The other tool that I have available for you here is just an ideal weekly plan. And this goes from 6 a.m. to midnight. So you can white that out and use it differently. Every hour is split into 2 blocks. I call these task blocks in HB90. It's kind of like Pomodoros. And that is how I tend to figure up how much writing or how much time I can do, because I tend to write in sprints. I actually do a lot of my work overall in sprints of 30 minutes a piece, 25 minutes with a 5-minute break and things like that. So what you can do with this sheet is you can start to map out what is your summer routine. For some of you, you can come up with a routine that most weeks you're following. So if you had baseball practice and gymnastics and a trip to the library every week or whatever, you could map that out and you could color code it and figure out, okay, what outside of my normal schedule is going to be taking away from or adding to my writing time here that I need to account for. Some of you, however, are going to have a busy or, chaotic summer to where every week looks differently. So you could actually print this out. If let's say you have 10 weeks of summer, you could print 10 of these out and you could just mark them like the week of June 6th, or whatever dates those happen to be. And you could plan it out as you go. Or you could just ignore this sheet entirely and just skip this and just do the days. So you could do it anyway. And I've tried to make it as flexible as possible. And the entire HB90 system is really flexible like this because we all plan and think differently. Some people like a lot more structure and discipline. Some people, when they see a schedule like this all filled out, it just makes them paralyzed. So instead of trying to become something different than what you are, just lean into your natural ways of doing things and use the tools that work for you and ignore the rest. So let's say you wanted to ignore this tool, but you had 35 days available to work on your writing goals. Then you could just say, on average, how much can I reasonably expect myself to write on a writing day? How much can I commit to? Not what's my max, what's my absolute best day ever, but what's a good average number of words I could write. So let's say you could write 1,000 words a day on the majority of your writing days, and that's kind of what you want to commit to as something that feels realistic. Then you could come down here and you would say 35 writing days available for the summer times 1,000 words a day gives me a pretty good goal that feels realistic for the summer of 35,000 words this summer. If that were me, that wouldn't be entirely accurate because I'm editing and I'm writing. So I wouldn't know necessarily if this would work for me in terms of figuring out if you're doing a mix between your writing and your editing. So I might want to do a time goal instead. So in that case, I would use this second part of it that I plan to work on 35 days. I plan to work at least, let's say, 100 minutes per day. So that would give me 35 days times 100 minutes gives me 3,500 minutes for the summer. And then I could just take a calculator and figure out how many sprints does that equal? And can I fit this much editing and this much new writing within that number of minutes or sprints? And then I could track that. Or you could do hours if you prefer. So if you said, I plan to work for at least 2 hours a day on each of my writing days, then you would say 35 times 2, and you would say that gives me 70 hours to write for the summer. So the time estimate might be a better estimate for you if you're doing a mix of work. If it's just raw words, then the word count per day might be better for you. So you can use this schedule if you'd like, or you can just go purely off of the math. Either way can work. So let's say I was going to do the minutes and I said 35 days times 2 hours a day gives me 70 hours of work. Could I realistically finish Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw and write the first episode of A Mirror of Shadows in 70 hours? Well, I would have to come over here and say the Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, I think, is going to take me about, let's say, 40 hours worth of work, which leaves me 30 hours remaining to write A Mirror of Shadows. So could I realistically expect to write 20,000 words in 30 hours? Yeah, for me, I think I can, because I can write about an average of 2,000 words per hour, which would actually give me 60,000 words potential, but I'm not going to expect myself to do that because I know I need to outline as well. So when I come down here, I'll say this summer, I'll be working on the Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw edits. plus A Mirror of Shadows, episode 1. And let's put out there that I think that's going to be about 20,000 words. I would love to get the following done during this time. I would love to get The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw published and A Mirror of Shadows, episode 1 complete and on ream. So you can put your specific goal here, and then your main priority for the summer can be whatever your priority is. So my main priority is to finish Vanessa and spend lots of time with my kids. So that's kind of how I would fill this out. And of course, if you want to see a more detailed look at how you can fill this out, I'm going to link last year's video for you because I filled this out a little bit more detailed last year if you want to go check that out. Then you also have this writing plan sheet here that you can use. And this is in the resource library as well as in the HB90 planner, but I included it here for you. So for me, I would use probably A Mirror of Shadows for this one, since this is the book I'll be drafting. And for the summer, I think my word count goal is actually going to be about 25,000 words. So this will be for episode 1. So my word per day goal, let's say, is 1,000 words. And I could put my ideal start date for this is going to be, and I know I want to spend next week finishing this book. So my ideal start date is going to be June 17th. And I could go through and fill out my goal for when I want to have plotting completed by the 17th. I want to have the rough draft done by, let's say, July 15th. I want to have my edits done by the 20th. And I could just go on and kind of estimate when each piece of this is going to be done. And then as I hit that point in my schedule and I say, okay, I didn't actually get to start this until the 25th. When I go back later and look through this, I can see how close were my estimates, and then I can adjust them for the next book. So that's how you would use that. And then finally, you have a little quote page here, as well as an undated month that you can use any time of year. And then the final spread is just a 2024 glance of the year. And obviously we're through most of this, but you could use this to just sort of strategize. Okay, if I write and finish Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, then I could release it on this date or whatever. And you could go through and color code and highlight as you wish. But this type of process of just really getting a good look at what your obligations are and the things you hope to do, and seeing if the goals you're setting for yourself are realistic for the time you have available, is life-changing. And this is what we do in HB90. This is what we do for Preptober, and a lot here on this channel. We do a yearly writing goal kind of live stream every December. And this process can be life-changing. So whether you're going through it with me for the first time or for the 5th, 10th time, I hope that it's helpful for you. And I hope you will take a moment to download this from the resource library as my gift to you. So that is it for today's video. I hope that you're excited for your own summer plan or your own temporary writing plan. Let me know what you've got in the works. I would love to hear more about it. Let me know if you're excited for The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw or to hear more about my Ream subscription. I cannot wait for all the content and all the things that are coming up this year. You're going to really see sort of a return to some of the OG videos that I did towards the beginning of this YouTube channel as I start publishing again. And I'm going to share my launch process and all of that. So if there's any videos in particular you really want to see, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. And if you love this style of planning where you take your time into consideration, and this is new for you, but you feel like it is really helpful, definitely come join us in the HB90 Bootcamp, which starts June 16th. Enrollment is open now, and I will have that link down below for you. We have a pay in full 3-month payment plan or a 6-month payment plan, but that process of really taking your time into consideration when you begin planning your goals, it's basically like similar to what we just did, but times 10, right? It's really looking at all of your goals, a 360-degree view of your entire life and all the things you want to accomplish, and making sure that you're not stacking so much on your plate that you're just feeling behind and overwhelmed all the time. If you want to feel excited about your goals again and excited and you want to really see the needle move, like you want to see actual progress on your dreams, definitely come join us. I promise you this can be transformational, and I would love to have you in that class. Also, if you're at InkersCon this weekend, come by and say hello. We're having a Hardy's Planner meetup on Sunday, and then I'm speaking on how to plan your author success life on Sunday at 1:30. And if you want to see that presentation and all of the Anchors Con presentations plus more, there is a digital conference if you can't make it live, and you can get $50 off by using my code Sarah24. So definitely check out the description box. There'll be lots of links down there for you, including how to download this free workbook. All right. I will see you guys soon for that summer reset. Let me know about your writing goals, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.